All right, hello again, everybody. This is Derek, aka Mr. Everything. And of course, that is in the way yet again. Okay, we can lower it. I can put it around my knees. That's no big deal. Um, I need to test something before we get started. So there is. I'm going to type test into my chat, and then I'm going to select this and see if it pops up. Oh, I got it turned off. Okay, hold on. Let's unselect that. Got it turned on. Okay, I don't see it popping up anywhere. Hang on. Okay, it's right there. Oh, okay. I know what my problem is. Okay, I think I do. Hmm. Okay, I just closed something. I'm working on something, guys. Something new for the stream. Okay, so that doesn't work. Right. Okay, because I closed the other one. I have to have them both up, it looks like. I have a twidget that I need to start. Yeah, I should have this still being able to paste. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, it's connected. Okay. Can I just move this out of the way? Because I'm not, okay, I'll just shrink it instead of moving it out of the way. Okay, now let's try this. Didn't work. Try this. That didn't work either. Okay. Okay, hold on. Well, it found me typing test. Let's try this one. Let's try classic. I got that up. Localhost. Okay. Ah, there we go. What I did was I refreshed the cache and then it popped up. Okay, I don't know how long it's going to take for it to pop up on the screen. There it goes. Okay. And I can unselect it and it'll disappear. Perfect. Okay. That way, chat might be a little easier to play with. About to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. I mute my microphone and then I don't have to sneeze. Okay. All right, so how's everybody doing this morning? Just know that, well, it's not morning anymore. I guess it's afternoon. It's a later start, and plus it's a Tuesday, which is not normally when I do these Wargaming weeklies. But welcome to Wargaming in Miniature. My name is Derek, and I will be your host today. I am going to be painting these models that I've got here on my table. First thing we're going to do is I've already primed them with a dark yellow, and then I went over it with a watered down, not completely blend, but not completely super covering either. I did a just a Dunkelgelb over the entire thing, right? Which Dunkelgelb is pretty much dark yellow, so the color was very similar, if not exact. There might be an example. There we go. That was what I primed it with. This is a tester's primer, and then that's the brush paint. So you can see there's a little bit of difference. And look at that. There's a 28 millimeter Panzer III sitting over here as well. This one is part of my commission, and because I was going to be painting them the same as these guys, I just decided to go ahead and paint it all at the same time. Now, these guys and these guys come with trailers, and I thought about selling the trailer separately. I thought about selling them together, but then I also thought about attaching it and putting this on a base. And that's what I'm going to wind up doing. I'm going to wind up taking the small trailers and the large trailers, attaching them where they belong, and putting them on like a little foot base, so that it'll all be together as a solid piece. Now, I originally bought these miniatures for my own personal collection, and because they are Old Glory models, they come as a pack of 3, right? So you got 3 of the -7s, 3 of the -10s, and then 3 of the dash 10, what is that? 10-2, I think. I don't remember. These are the 37 37 millimeter anti-aircraft. And then there's the 3 Whirlwinds, which, the quad 20s or whatever. The game that I play is called Battle Group. Those of you that have been watching my channel, I've done a couple of videos, rules, and stuff like that on Battle Group. And Battle Group is not a game of threes. It's a game of either singles or platoons. Now, I could buy 3 singles, right? And I could have 3 Whirlwinds, or I could buy 2 Whirlwinds, or I could buy just 1 Whirlwind, or I could have a Whirlwind platoon, which is probably 4 actually, but I'm not concerned about that. Lipton, yummy. I am building my forces to accommodate every scenario in what's the word? Every scenario in Overlord, the Overlord, that's D-Day, and then Overlord Beyond the Beaches, right? Which is, I would think, that those books are, what do you call it? Like brother and sister. And then I personally enjoy all the airborne operations. So I'm going with Market Garden, and I'm going with Vlak am Rhein, right? Or the Battle of the Bulge. So those are my main, and those are all Western Front, books. I would consider Italy, because I think that 82nd and stuff like that in Italy might be fun as well. But that doesn't limit me to just airborne, especially like Normandy. You've got all the, especially Beyond the Beaches, you've got like armored, American armored columns and infantry divisions and stuff like that. So it kind of and Battle of the Bulge also is not just airborne. You got the 29th defending Clairvaux and Wiltz and all that. Okay, but then you have the German side, of course. And they have a wide variety of vehicles all the way up and down the spectrum. But so I went through every scenario, and I recorded what vehicles and infantry are needed to play every one of those scenarios out of those 4 books. And there's a lot of vehicles I don't need, right? Like I don't need King Tigers. Don't need any, not one. I do need a regular Tiger, Tiger 1. I need one of those. See, but if I bought a pack of 3, that would leave me with 2 extras. If I bought the platoon box from Plastic Soldier Company, that comes with like 4, right? Or 5. It depends on the tank. But if I only need 1, what am I going to do with the other ones? Well, I'm going to put them on eBay. Okay, on my store. Go to Wargaming and Miniature. Actually, go to ebay.com/STR, which is the I guess for store /Wargaming and Miniature, and you should get my store on there, and you can peruse all my different products. So if I only need 1 of these, then the other ones will go on the store. If I only need 2 of these, then the other one will go on the store. If I need 3 of them, well, then you're SOL. I'm keeping them. Okay. Having said that, we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing to start. I want to bring out the edges and highlight these models without a whole lot of work, right? So I'm going to use the same color that I painted them in, but I'm going to mix in a little arid earth, right? And then you can see the arid earth is going to be light. So it's going to make the original color that I'm using lighter. Now, some people will, okay, I'm going to have to sacrifice this napkin as my sniffle napkin. Okay. Okay, good. They're my sniffle napkin. A lot of people out there will just add white. They'll add white to lighten the mood. No, lighten the paint. Okay, you guys hear that? Okay, that's our sound bar saying you haven't used me in a while. I'll be right back. Our soundbar is so needy. Demands attention. If you don't use it for 48 hours, it starts beeping. Like, hey! And it beeps at the most awkward times. Okay, so what was I talking about? Oh, mixing, right? So I could put white with my Dunkelgelb or any other paint, and it would lighten it down. Of course, it would, but it would also it'll be too extreme. Wormhole extreme. Okay, no. Okay, so there's the Dunkelgelb. Now, I could use like a lighter tan. I could use a sand color. You know, a sand would be good. You know, but it's just not light enough. Yeah, you can use other colors. It doesn't have to be arid earth. But I found that arid earth has enough yellow in it with any highlighting at all. If I was doing green or red or whatever, this has enough non-white to make the highlight look less stark, right? Less drastic. Okay. Now, the percentage varies based on how light you want it to be. Just remember, less is usually more, meaning if you go less, you can always do it again and build it up. But if you go too much, you can't go back. Can't fix it. You've ruined it. So go less. Make sure you get a thorough mix. But you don't want that arid earth coming through as pure arid earth, right? You want to make sure that it's Dunkelgelb, but just lighter, like a light Dunkel. How do you get like a light dark? I don't know. Okay. Let us transition to a better set of eyes. There we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. This is a Perry model, and it is beautiful. I am shocked about how good this model looks. Okay, I'm doing the real sharp edges first, because what that'll do is it'll help strip the brush of any excess paint. I mean, normally you could wipe it off on a piece of cardboard or a paper towel. Okay. And then once you got it, now these boxes and this wood and stuff like that and these bags, they're all going to be painted, but it's better to do your dry brushing of the main body before you start getting into the details, because you don't want your dry brush to ruin any of those details that you're doing. All right, now when it comes to the store, right, you guys know that I've been waiting for this Perry order. Well, I got another vehicle with the Perry order. It's a 250 half track with the 75 gun on it. You know, like the infantry gun, short howitzer, whatever it is, whatever they call it. Okay, I think I'm running out of juice here. Because I wanted to get these engine compartment doors hit as well to really bring out the hinges. Boy, this model, man, it is the best Panzer III I think I've ever seen. And that's a high compliment, because I've seen another one. And it's a Panzer III model that, like Warlord, doesn't have. It's like an earlier model, an earlier war model. Now, I considered using a sponge and doing, Okay. So just looking at that, you don't really, okay, I don't know if you guys can really see that. I don't know how the focus is working. There we go. Hey, we actually have some focus. I guess the focus is actually over on the right because the center of the camera is here. I'm kind of, I got the camera split in a way where you're not looking at my T. So if I put something over here to focus on, it might actually focus better. But you can see it didn't really change the color of the vehicle at all. It just brought out the edges quite a bit. I don't know. Not getting. There we go. And it, like the hinges and stuff. Okay. Now I considered getting a piece of cardboard and using that for drawing my brush for the dry brush. The reason why you use cardboard, you have a lot more control over how much paint is left on your brush, where paper towel a lot of times is more absorbent than a piece of cardboard. And when I say cardboard, I'm talking about like a box of miniatures, you know, that kind of cardboard that it comes in, you know, just a Now this is a resin model. No metal. There was no metal on this, believe it or not. The barrel and the machine gun and everything is a different type of resin, but still resin. Okay, and that'll give that tank a little bit of a dusty look, but it'll also give it, it'll bring out the details. Not that that vehicle needs it, because the details are just bomb. Now, being that it was a 28 millimeter, I had to pay a little bit more attention to where I was dry brushing. These 15 millimeter guys, I don't really have to do that. And I think I went a little light on the arid earth. Maybe just a little bit too light. The highlights, they're coming through. I see them, but I wish they were just a little bit starker, if that makes sense. I wish it was a little bit more dry. Well, I guess I don't really. I don't want it to be ruined. So maybe this is good. Maybe this is good. Now, if you're interested in what kind of brush I'm actually using, this brush is from Zen. Zen is a brush manufacturer. This is a number 14 brush. These bristles are like really stiff, right? It comes in a couple of different, like when I bought them, they came in white and brown. The brown ones are like even more stiff. I mean, like super stiff. The white ones are a little bit more flexible. And if you ever need to like pick your tooth or something, it's got like a sharp push here right there. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. I can already tell I'm not gonna have enough for all these vehicles, so this will be a good time to mix a little bit more and maybe add a little bit more of that. Just not a whole lot more, just a smidge. Okay, so I got my replacement parts from Warlord either yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. Okay, for some reason this sucker wants to stay clogged. I'm gonna have to. Okay. I keep a paper clip ready for myself whenever I need to unclog one of these paints. Okay, there we go. And mix this up. I don't want it to be all Dunkelgelb either because then nothing will change. Right? It'll be exactly the same color that I used to base coat them. I want it to be a mixture. I don't know if that's light enough. I don't think it is. Okay, let's see if that makes a difference. Yeah, this brush is like soaking it all up. Okay, here we go. Try this. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, the edges will really stand out now. That's what I'm talking about. That'll really bring out the details. Without ruining them. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see any of that, but that's okay. Yeah, I can definitely see a slight difference between the two. yeah, so I got my Warlord, my second, the replacement parts, because I ordered a SS Army, not for myself, but to paint and put up on the in the Army, you know, you get vehicles and anti-tank gun and mortars, machine guns, stuff like that. Well, the anti-tank gun didn't have a crew. It didn't come with any crew members. And in my open box, my what's in the box video, I didn't know it didn't have any crew. I just so I looked at the figures and I said, okay, would I be able to create a crew from any remaining SS miniatures? And the answer is yes. I could have made a crew, but then when I went to the website for like assembly instructions, etc., it showed that it had a metal crew that was supposed to come with it. So I contacted my rep at Warlord, and he said, "Yep, supposed to have a metal crew. Let me go ahead and send it out." And I said, "Oh, by the way, it didn't come with a base either." And he said, "The anti-tank gun in the Army box doesn't come with a base." But he said he was going to send me a base anyway, as kind of like an apology, I guess. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Send me a base. I'll put it to good use. And I just got that in. That was a while. That was almost a full month to get that. But now that I have it, you can expect me to assemble it and put it up on the store pretty soon. It's probably going to be in P-dot camouflage because it's SS. I don't know. I don't know if the gun crews are supposed to have P-dot, but I'm going to take a look. I'll do whatever's supposed to be done on it. So actually, I got a couple orders this week. I got the Perry order, and then I got the Warlord order. The edges around the side of this Warblewin are not sharp enough to really accept dry brushing very well. I'm noticing. Too round. But there's a little bit of an edge, and I'm making it work. Okay. Making progress. Okay, now I think on my last German, like Kubelwagons or whatever it was that I did, I painted the crew and then started dry brushing the hull. And what happened was I got some of the dry brush, whatever color I was using at the time, was either gray or dunkel, got on the driver's uniform, right? Because you can't be too perfect. And I mean, I'm perfect, but it just can't be too perfect. And it gave the German uniform a pretty cool weathering effect, but I didn't want that. I mean, it really looks good. It's just I didn't want it. I wasn't going for that. That was a happy accident. So I made a conscious effort to make sure I dry brush these bad boys before I do any other painting. Either tires, uniforms, canvas hood. This has like a cable in the back. Okay. I'm forgetting where I'm putting the finished ones. Yeah, so I got the Perry order, which I'm working on right here. But I thought about doing the half track all at the same time because it would make my life a lot easier. But I know how I am. If I have too many models sitting on my table, I have a tendency to kind of avoid working on them. So I try to limit how many models I do at any one specific time. And this is about my limit right here. Once I start getting over this, then I start to be concerned. Like I have a bunch of other German vehicles I have to do. I just can't do them all at the same time. I don't want to do them all at the same time. Okay. Let's do one of these. Okay, that really brings out the detail of those side ribs. I don't know, the lighting is just too bright when I bring it over here where you can't really see what I'm trying to. Okay, now it's too dark, but really brings out those ribs. I don't know if I got brightness turned up or something on my recording because it looks brighter. I might have. It looks brighter than it should be. I'm gonna mess with my lighting here in a minute. Not my real lighting, but the lighting in the recording. Because it looks like I might have the brightness turned up. Which I would do that if I was like in a dark room or something. Which sometimes I am. Okay, I gotta be careful with this barrel because, yeah, it's super thin. It's realistically thin, if you know what I mean by that. Okay, that looks good. Um, Okay. Let me see if I can adjust some brightness on the fly. And it is specifically this one. Is it a filter? It might be a filter. Color correction. Oh, good. Look at that. I got gamma turned up. Okay, that might be the issue. Plus, I changed it from 4K to 1440 specifically to try to improve FPS. So, let's see if... Oh, yeah, that's way better. Yeah, okay. So by turning that gamma down, that really helped quite a bit. Okay, you can see how it brings out the highlights of the ribs, you know, um, on the vehicle. Yeah, where it's not so bright that it ruins the paint job, right? Um, yeah. What else? What else is going on here? Well, my wife is away for the week. She has gone down to Alabama. Yeah, Alabama. Coleman, I think, is the name of the town. Um, she's part of the SCA. I used to. Okay, when I met her, she knew nothing about the SCA. I was pretty big into the SCA. I was pretty huge into it. And I took her to an event, and then after that, she's been locked in. She loves the SCA, goes to a lot of different events, and works to, to further her SCA career, if you want to call it that. She became a Pelican, and I don't know if you guys know what a Pelican is, but in the SCA, it's like becoming a knight of service. So, meaning she gives a lot of her time to the kingdom and other members, serving, helping other members of the community, and I used to be a fighter. I became and I fought for many years. I am very good at it. I would say now, just to be completely honest, I would say I'm in the top 25%. I'm not a 10%er, but I'm easily in the top 25% when it comes to fighting skill. That's mostly sword and shield for me. I'm a sword and board kind of guy. But I played around with like pole arms and great swords and axes and maces and stuff like that. I played around with all those, but sword and shield is my bread and butter. And for about 20 years, for about 20 years, I pretty much was a solo act, right? I would fight in tournaments. I would think like Knight Bachelor or whatever, but I was not a knight. I wasn't knighted. I was just a solo act. I would go to wars. I would fight for whatever kingdom that I was currently residing in. Currently, it's Meridies. And I even got a bunch of friends to join. And we formed a band of merry men, called ourselves the Blood Lancers. And we would go to events, and we would not role play, but kind of portray ourselves as mercenaries. But we weren't really mercenaries. We were loyal to the kingdom that we were in at the time, where we lived, not like traveling. And so we were loyal citizens of our kingdom, but a lot of times there are events where there's melee or group fights, and it has nothing to do with any kingdom, right? It's just your team versus our team, and we'll see who the better team is. Like Tourney the Foxes or something like that. And we would hire ourselves out at those events if a team didn't have the right number of people. You know, like let's say Louis had a team, but he only had one person, his squire or whatever, and he needed 3 more people to make 5, right? Well, there's the Blood Lancers. You could hire us, and all you got to do is pay us in wine or beer or good song or a meal in the evening or, whatever. Just for fun. And I did this for many years. Okay, 20 plus years. There's part of the stories coming up. This is why I'm not with my wife right now, as she's down at Gulf Wars. I started feeling like I was not living up to my potential, right? Because I won every fight I got into, save a couple of knights. There's a few knights out there that really know how to fight. They're really good, and they had a lot that they could possibly teach me about fighting and about just being a better person in the SCA, just a better what do you call it? A better citizen. There we go. And so what I did was, one of my Blood Lancer buddies decided he wanted to become a squire, so that one of these knights, Sir Griffin, could teach him and train him on how to be a better citizen and eventually teach him all the skills he needs to one day become a knight of his own. And I saw, and he was accepted, and as a man-at-arms, because it's like a trial period. You're a man-at-arms for a while until you're deemed worthy to become a squire. And I saw how successful, or how I should say excited, that Jacques was by becoming this man-at-arms, and I noticed he was learning a lot that I couldn't teach him. And so that frustrated me in a way that made me want, because I knew I was lacking. I knew I was lacking the knowledge to teach certain aspects of the SCA. So I approached Sir Griffin myself, and I said, I see how successful Jacques is, and I see that you're doing a really good thing with him. He's developing and becoming a better community member and all that. And I said, I'd like to get involved in that. And he said, well, let me think about it, and blah, blah, blah. And then after a month or two of kind of going to events and hanging with other people and stuff like that, he finally approached me and said, we would be happy. He's talking about him and his wife. Happy to have you as one of our men-at-arms. And then we'll see where that progresses and all that. And okay, so to make a long story short, well, I'm not trying to shorten the story. I'm trying to just jump to the next chapter. I became a squire. Right? After a man-at-arms period, I became a squire, and he did not teach me anything about fighting. I was upset about that. Not mad. I don't know if that's the proper word. I was basically just expecting to get some secret techniques, or some advice on a better way to hold my sword, or a specific strike or an attack, or anything at all. And I got none of that. Zero. So I felt like, and there were other knights out there that were more inclined to teach how to fight. But Sir Griffin was not that knight, and I didn't realize this until it was too late. Right? And so, by being Sir Griffin's squire, one of many, he had like 10 of them, I had the opportunity to train with other squires and their knights. So I learned by proxy from these other knights. And what Sir Griffin did teach was politics. Who to talk to, why to talk to them, when to talk to them, where to talk to them, what to say to them, why you want to say this to them. And it became apparent that Sir Griffin was not my knight. He was not the kind of guy that I wanted to be like. Right? All of the things he taught, and I know this, all of the things he taught were needed to become a knight of the realm, right? Because you had to have the proper etiquette and know who to talk to and when to talk to him and all that. I know that's a requirement. I knew that. And I was getting that from him. But I was only getting that and not anything else, and that was the problem. And I don't fault him for that. Right? That's who he is, and that's fine. And he believes that that's more important than fighting. Okay, and it might be. Because I was already good at fighting. I could beat every one of his squires in a fight. I could in a one-on-one, hands down, I could beat all but maybe one of the squires 100% of the time. This one squire, I could only beat maybe 50% of the time. He was probably as good as me, or reversed it. I was probably as good as him. Trying to be humble, but I'm not. And if you put us in a scenario where there's multiples, like a melee, my team would always come out victorious because I knew where to position my guys because of my time as a Blood Lancer. I knew how to conduct unit tactics. His squires didn't know any of that. He didn't teach any of that. Right? It was kind of sad. His squires didn't know how to fight. His squires, nice guys. On the most part, all of them were nice guys. They wouldn't have been squires. He wouldn't have taken them on as squires if they weren't nice guys. Right? Okay. So, fast forward to border raids. There is a war between the Middle Kingdom and Meridies. It's not huge. There's probably 300 or 400 people fighting on each side. It's not, because basically each kingdom can field. This is all the kingdoms, and there's like 12 or more kingdoms. They can field about 300 or 400 people at any one given war, which is still really fun and exciting when you're running around a field of 800 people, almost 1,000 people, everybody trying to kill everybody else. And the king's like screaming, and the knights are like leading their groups and stuff. It's a sight to behold, and it's fun, right? So we go to this event, my wife and I, and my very young son, Alex. How old is Alex at this time? Maybe about 10, something like that. I don't even remember. He was fairly young. We get our campsite, we camp, we sleep. I wake up in the morning. I see that my wife has already gotten up, which that's kind of a normal thing. She'll get up way before me. And she's not in the campsite. So I'm just, and neither is Alex. He's gone as well. So I figure that they have gone to the field to get ready for the day's events, or something, right? Okay, I've got all the dry brushing done. So I go on. So I grab my armor and I head out to the field. I find my wife. She's helping out. I don't remember what it was, the Water Guild or something, where there's a bunch of ladies that in the middle of the fight, they'll take breaks, right? And then these ladies will run water out to the field, and guys too, but mostly ladies, and they'll run out to the field and help the fighters, rehydrate or whatever before the next round of fighting, because safety is a big concern with the SCA. And so she's there helping. And my knight, Sir Griffin, pulls me off to the side. And I'm about to admit something to you guys that I don't like admitting, but it's part of the story, and I'm gonna tell it. So he pulls me off to the side, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, he's pulling me off to the side, right? No, it's a scolding. He starts scolding me about not helping my wife. And I'm like, it's part of his nightly thing to point out your flaws or whatever, which I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him pointing out my flaws. So I'm sitting there listening, and he says, you excuse me, you missed the boat here, right? She came down like 3 hours ago and has been working on the field while you were sleeping. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's true. Nobody woke me up. Nobody, said that she was coming down here, or I. And he should know this, because I've been with him for years, a couple of years anyway. He should know that that's not who I am. I have always helped my wife. I have always helped the king, or the kingdom, Griffin and his wife. That's who I am. And so when he started saying, you didn't come down, you didn't help. And then he said, the squires all set up the kingdom pavilion, and you weren't there to help us set it up. What's going through my mind is, why are you telling me this? Why didn't I should scold you for not sending somebody to come get me? Because I would have been happy to get up and run over and help set up a pavilion. Right? That's why I'm in the SCA, is to experience all these things, you know, as if you were in the Middle Ages or whatever. But I didn't. I held my tongue and I just listened to what he had to say. And then this is the key right here, the part that I didn't want to admit, but I'm going to do it. He says the main issue that he had was that Laura, that's my wife, that's not her SCA name, but she came down with Alex to help out on the field. And Alex has been running around all over the place, out of control. And it's been distracting her away from her duties at the water tent or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's. I said, okay, I'll have a talk with Alex and we'll get this straightened out. Right? Well, I'll discipline him or whatever. And then he said something that I look back on and I say to myself, I should have reacted to it violently at the time he said it, but I was trying to be respectful of him being a knight, being my superior, and trying to learn from him, and I allowed him to say this. He said to me, I don't think you are a good father. At that moment, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try better. I'll do better. You know, I will go discipline Alex. We'll make this right, blah blah blah, right? So I go do that. I go talk to Alex and I say, you know, you got to be under control. You can't run around like a crazy person, and your mom's trying to get something accomplished here, and she can't deal with you and that at the same time. Blah blah blah. And I go into detail with him, and I don't take him over my knee. I don't think it's serious enough for that, right? Okay. So then we finish the event Sunday. This all happened Saturday. So Sunday, on the drive home, which is about a 4-hour drive, no big deal, I talked to my wife about what happened, right? And how what Sir Griffin said to me was unacceptable, right? First of all, he doesn't have any children of his own. My understanding is he can't have them. So I don't know how or where he gets off telling me that I'm not a good father. And I told my wife, I said, I think I just lost my man card. Right? I said, he said this to me, and I didn't deck him right at the time, or at least threatened to deck him or something. I didn't acknowledge it as a negative at the time. Well, I felt it as a negative, but I didn't acknowledge it to him as that's, like, who are you to tell me, that kind of stuff. And so I sat there and stewed on it, and I told her that, that bothered me. And all she said was, uh-huh. Yep. Right. Listening, listening to what I had to say. Not disagreeing with Sir Griffin. Not consoling me. She didn't say, no, you're a good dad, he doesn't know, or, he doesn't see what I see, or any of this. She just said, uh-huh. So that sat with me the wrong way. And then, okay, let's take this off. I don't want it to drop. Okay. And, okay, so I kind of just let that stew and sit in the back and brush it off as a one-time thing, or he didn't really mean it, or something like that. That's kind of what I was thinking. He didn't know what he was saying. Heat of the moment. Alex was getting into trouble, and okay. So our Shire has an event. Black Rose. So we're running this event. Sir Griffin is not there. A couple of his other squires are there. And I'm the marshal, so I'm the guy that conducts all of the fighting events. I organize the fights, I referee the fights, I do all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I'm there before dawn. I set up the fighting field, and then once all the fighting is over, after I'm sitting on the field all day, organizing and conducting the fighting, and then the next day, or not the next day, the end of the day, that night, I start tearing the pavilions down, and I'm doing this all by myself, right? Because we have a small shire, maybe 10 people were there running the show, right? So I'm sitting there all by myself, tearing the pavilion down, while these two squires of Sir Griffins are sitting there on the field packing up their stuff, which is fine. You would never see me do that. I would help the marshal tear his stuff down, and then I would go over and pack my stuff up. I would never pack my stuff up and then help the marshal, because guess what? He's probably done. So that's just one way to avoid helping. Okay, tire black. That's not what I want. Tire black? Yeah, we'll do tire black. So, I tear the stuff down. I'm packing it all up. These guys get their stuff packed up. I'm not finished because I've got all this junk, these boards and poles and ropes and all this stuff that I've got to load up on somebody else's trailer. They come up to me and they say, "We heard, that you're a problem and that we're watching you." Watching me? What the hell? That put me over the edge. Because I was already upset with Griffin's leadership style. And then he came to me as an aggressor. And then apparently he's telling his squires that I'm a bad person and that they need to police me. And there was one other thing that bothered me that happened maybe a month before or whatever, where there were some reports that didn't get accepted by the kingdom seneschal or something, and I was the one that sent her the emails, and she came to Griffin because he's my knight and said that I didn't deliver these reports even though I had the emails, and that even though the emails showed when they were sent and all that, right? So I basically had a email paper trail, saying that I did send these when they were supposed to be sent. But he came to me and said, that she has been a friend of hers or his for a very long time, and that he believes her over me. And I'm like, okay, you can believe her. But she was getting revenge on me for something that I don't know what. I think it has something to do with before I met my wife, I shunned her, relationship wise. And I think she was just, or she honestly misplaced my email and just said I never sent it or whatever. But that's just one more thing, right? So there were a lot of things being built up. And I'm at work with a guy that's not in the SCA, not involved. He's a wargaming buddy of mine. And Tom. And I tell him what's going on with me and the SCA and all this stuff. And he asked me a poignant question. He said, "Do you pay money to go to these events?" My answer was yes, because you pay for the campsite, you pay for the event, and you pay for food and lodging and all that stuff. So it winds up, it's not a whole lot. You pay for feast and you bring your own food and stuff, a cooler full of goodies and Gatorade and whatever else. Um, but to get into most events was about $20 or something like that, $20. Paid for the feast and the lodging and everything. So it wasn't a whole lot. He said, "Okay, so you're paying $20 to be raked over the coals." He said, he didn't tell me what he would do or give me advice or anything. He basically just pointed out a fact that I'm paying money to get bitched at. Now, for the first 25 years or 20 years or however long it was, I don't really remember, this had not happened. I was a loan shark. I wasn't involved with Griffin's politics. And I do believe that he enjoys that part of the SCA. A lot of people say they don't enjoy that part of the SCA, but I think they're lying, or they're just saying that. I think they truly enjoy the politics, the brown nosing, the backstabbing, the lying, manipulating. And I went to an event. Griff was not there. I was happy because I wasn't going to get my ass chewing of the day or whatever. None of his squires were there. This was an event that I had gone to a number of times in the past. I think it's called Fighters Collegium. And what it is where all the fighters go to learn techniques, usually from the knights. The knights will set up a station and they'll teach swordplay, or they'll teach pole arms, or they'll teach whatever. And I've gone a number of times, and that's probably why I'm better than almost all the other fighters. Because I listen and I learn, and I practice and experiment with what they teach me, because not everything is usable by every person. But I go to this event, and there is a "Do you want to become a knight" seminar, right? It's a meeting, and I do. So I go to this seminar, and I had only started feeling this way right before I signed up with Sir Griffin. I was like, I had been content to be a lone wolf this entire time, but I started to feel something about, I knew I was really good. I knew this. But I also knew people, the average Joe on the street was not going to listen to me because I wasn't a knight. Right? Okay. I mean, they would listen or whatever. I mean, there's politeness and stuff, of course. But so the question that they posed was, why do you want to become a knight? And they went around the room and asked various people. And I remember I was asked, why do you want to become a knight? And I said, so that I can become better, a better citizen in the kingdom, and that I can give back to the community. Right? I've been in the SCA for a long time. I've gone solo the entire time. And I feel it's time for me to pay it forward, basically, be the good guy. Give back to the community. And they told me later, they told the group, not me specifically. I don't think it was aimed at me. But they told the group, you don't, and this kind of upset me in a way, I'm going to be honest. But he told the group, you don't become a knight to help other people. You become a knight for glory in battle and to become a better warrior. And I'm thinking to myself, I wish you were my knight. I was like, that's a little selfish. And that's kind of what he was getting at. He was like, knights are selfish. Knights don't care about your feelings. And I'm like, that's probably true historically. So he's basically playing a role right now with me. But I know for a fact that knights don't become knights unless they give back to the community. And I wanted to give back to the community. I know this for a fact, right? But that's not what he said. He said knights are a bunch of dicks. And you have to embrace it. So with all these things adding up, and then Griffin scolding me about being a father, my squire brothers, which I thought were supposed to have my back, turned on me in overnight. They became my enemy like immediately. I made a decision that I'm not going to do the SCA anymore. I said, I don't need this. Yes, it's fun to go out and fight. Good exercise. I enjoyed my first 25 years in the SCA. Because I joined in 81? We'll call it 82, but yeah, it's like the end of 81. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Up until the 2000s? 2005 maybe? It's been almost 20 years of me not playing in the SCA. I still have all my armor and weapons and stuff. Just in case that one day I might go back. So then I tell my wife, okay, and this is a little personal, but I'm going to tell you guys. I don't mind. I've said this a couple of times on the stream, probably. I tell my wife, I say, I'm upset that you still hang out with Sir Griffin and his wife. Because of what they said to me and how I was treated. I don't mind the fact that she goes to the SCA, goes to events. What I minded was she's still friends with them. And I mentioned this to her. I say, Laura, this bothers me that you have chosen them over your husband. You have chosen your friends over your husband. And you know what her response was? No, of course you don't. She asked me, do you want me to stop going to the SCA? And of course my answer is, that's not why I'm telling you this. I want you to make your own decision on whether or not you're going to continue to play with them. And she made a decision. She basically doesn't understand what she did. She chose the SCA over me. Because I gave her the opportunity to make the decision on her own because I want her to be happy. I was just hoping that she would choose me as well. And say, well, screw those guys. You know, they're a bunch of dicks. Or let's go have a talk with them. Let's hash this out. Let's anything. Nope. She decided they're more important than I am. And ever since that time, we've had, or I don't know if she has. I think she's kind of clueless, to be honest. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't think she knows what she's doing. And every time she cooks a feast or gets an award or hangs out with Stephanie and Griffin, I don't I don't think she realizes she's stabbing me in the back. So as far as I'm concerned, I've been done with her for this whole time. We're not we're married, but we're not husband and wife. I know that's went on a huge tangent about the SCA, and I don't even remember what got me started on that. Oh, because I was letting you know my wife is away for the week. She's gone down to Coleman, Alabama, where there's a big war, and it's a week-long event. Those aren't dry, so I don't think I want to touch them. Now, bogey wheels should have like a leather, what am I saying? A rubber sleeve around them. Like a tire with no air in it, right? It's just rubber. And this tank has these extra bogey wheels up on the hull. Ah, okay, fixed. Concentrating. Well, at least I don't have my tongue sticking out. Yeah, this vehicle's got a lot of little details on it. Way more than I was anticipating. But it's good. It means it's going to look good when it's done painted. Now, I'm not sure about the guide wheels, if they have rubber on them, but I think they do. That's these three top wheels. They look like they would be like solid rubber, but I'm going to have to do a little research because I don't want to paint them and then be incorrect. Okay, that looks good. Okay. All these bogey wheels down here need to have their black rubber on them. Same thing with these guys. Now these, I don't think they are. I think they're solid metal, actually. The half track ones, I think they're solid metal. All right, well, we got nobody talking. So I was basically just trying to fill up time with my SCA story. Oh yeah, my sale at the store. Remember, there's 10% off if you order $50 or more on my store. So if you put an order in for a couple of miniatures or something like that, it might be $50. It just depends on what you get. Maybe a unit of black powder, Napoleonics or something like that. It's definitely going to be over $50. If you get it, you get 10% off. And that only lasts for the next week. There is the 20th, I think, is the last day to take advantage of that. So if you are interested in historical fantasy, sci-fi, I don't really have any sci-fi on there right now, I don't think. I think it's only historical and fantasy. Now my historical stuff is, let me just think about what I've got. I've got some ancients, some like Gaelic troops or something like that. I've got some fantasy, D&D or Oathmark or Deuthvolt. What's the other one? There's Oathmark. Yeah, I got Wargaming Atlantic on there as well. There's others. but painted or box sets, fantasy. I've got some D&D models, of course, 15 millimeter armor and 28 millimeter armor. Plus, I would love to do commission. If you guys have a project that you need help with, or you want somebody to take some of that load off of you, let me know what you got. I'll quote you a price, and then you'll either accept or decline, one or the other. If you send me 2 projects to do, let's just use this as an example. Some American infantry and some German infantry. I consider that 2 projects. And I will do, hypothetically, let's say I do the German SS. In P-dot camouflage. And I contact you and let you know they're finished. I do expect payment as soon as you possibly can. But I know a lot of people like to mail in the payment and not use PayPal, or they want to actually physically mail me something like a check or a money order. Then I expect it in like 2 weeks. That's no big deal. After a month, I consider it to be late. I currently do not have any late charges. I just let you know, hey, it's late. After 60 days, I just want everyone to know, after 60 days of no payment, I consider it abandoned. And I stop asking for payment. I no longer consider you a customer. Okay. Having said that, if I do a commission, let's say the Germans in P-dot, just as an example, continuing on with the same example, I contact you and let you know that they're finished. And then I've got those Americans in the wings waiting to be painted. I do not start them. I don't even look at them. I leave them in the box until the P-dot gets paid for. Hopefully all of that is understandable. I don't start a second project until the first project is paid for. Now, this is a different customer. So I'm going to I'm going to paint his while I wait for payment from another commission. Of course, I'm not going to stop all my commissions just because one guy doesn't want to pay. That would be ridiculous. And I do have a commission out there where it's been sitting on the shelf for almost 30 days. He did say he was going to mail a check, so it might be in the mail. Friday, I was going to send him an email saying, "Hey, it's Derek. If you've already sent the check, just letting you know I haven't received it yet. So if you want to stop payment and send me another check, that'd be fine." Or something like that. Or if you didn't send it, then just as a reminder. I try to work with people. I understand, you know, that other things are more important than your miniature gaming. But don't commission if you're not paying. You know, if you don't have the money, don't set up a commission. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean when I say this. Okay. Kickstarter. I did a Kickstarter on Harn World. Harn's been out for a long time. 83. I've never had any product from Harn other than when I owned my own store, I had Harn product on the shelf. I looked it over, you know, from the outside, read the box, that kind of stuff. Never opened it, never ventured into Harn. If I had a store today on, a brick and mortar store, like I did in the past, I would open every single game I have and do a review online. But I don't, because what I would do is I would open up the box or whatever, I would read it on camera, first impressions kind of deal, and then box it back up. That would be my what's in the box, like I'm doing now. But because I really didn't have any kind of YouTube or online presence, I really didn't have any online presence when I had my store. Might have had AOL. I mean, dang, remember? Might have had that. I might have had email. I think I did everything on fax and telephone. It was a different era. Today it would be so much easier to run a store. I would have an online presence. and a brick and mortar store. Everything in the store would sell online as well. But Harn World. So I backed it, a Kickstarter. I think the Kickstarter just ended today. I think. So it should be charging my card today. Not 30 days later. Ha ha ha. But I won't receive the product until June, is what I understand. June is the release date. And that's subject to change. But Columbia Games, they've been around a long time. They've been around since '83, actually. What the hell? They had a different name before '83, but they changed their name to Columbia Games when they released Harn. It was tied in together. And from what I can tell, Columbia is a class act. They have been around a while. Now, they do something in their books that I find annoying. It's a trick that they used to do a lot in the old D&D products and other Traveler products and stuff like that. That they pretty much stopped doing, but Columbia is still doing it. And I don't fault them for doing it because all they're doing is taking their old product and reprinting it. So, and I think it can be, if it's not, it can be a successful marketing strategy. And let me tell you what they do that bugs me. Let's talk about a product called Cities and Towns. So you've got this Cities and Towns book, and it explains, like apothecaries and clothiers and weaponsmiths and all that kind of stuff, and the various temples and the churches, and then they'll say there will be a temple of Peony, or Peony as I like to say, in this area. And if you want to know more about Peony, get this supplement. It takes Peony to the next level. Okay. Then you get you go get the or I should say Peony is talked about in the religious supplement. Go to the religious supplement, Harn Religion, and learn about Peony. Okay, so then you go to the religious book that you were just directed to, and you find out what peony is all about. You know, it's this god and that god, and you get a general overview of all the gods because it's a religion book, and you know what they all stand for and their holidays and stuff like that. And then it says peony has 3 orders, fighting orders. And if you want to know more about these fighting orders, go to the peony supplement. And you're like, okay, I got to go to another book to still learn about peony. So you go to peony, and it says, you know, you got this type of cleric and this type of fighting order, and they have various circles and spells, and it gets deeper into what peony is all about. And then they say peony has like 5 different fighting orders. And if you want to know more about the fighting orders, each fighting order has its own book. And all their books are like this. They give you like just enough to whet your appetite, but not enough to give you any information. Right? And or I should say they're kind of doing it deliberately as what level do you want to know? Do you want to know about the kingdom? Or do you want to know about the city? Or do you want to know about a specific merchant in the city? And each one is a different book that gets more and more detailed as you go down. Which I find is it's cool in that, like when I get the kingdom book, it talks about all the cities in the kingdom, but it doesn't give you any details about those kingdoms. I mean, those cities. It gives you a little bit, just enough to know something about them, but not enough to really act upon it unless you go deeper, which just basically means you got to buy more books. So I don't like that. But then I think about it and I'm like, well, the Forgotten Realms is pretty much exactly the same way. They just don't word it like that. You got the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, which talks about the entire Sword Coast. And then every city's got its own little book. You got Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, Waterdeep. And then Waterdeep, the Waterdeep book, gives you a general overview of the entire city, but nothing really in detail. Unless you get an adventure like the Dragon Heist. And then it goes into detail. So D&D does the same. Oh, and then you got the Yawning Portal, and you've got the Mad Mage. Those are all Waterdeep. So you got a million adventures taking place in Waterdeep. Maybe not a million, but you know, you get the idea. So I think about it, and they're hardbacks, right? So I've been kind of thinking about a comparison between Wizards of the Coast 5th edition D&D and the Harn materials. It's about the same. Harn is actually cheaper by a long shot. Because you really only need about 4 or 5 books in Harn to get started. After that, everything's just extra. And that's kind of the same way with D&D, right? You got the player's handbook, monster manual, DMG. Then you got an adventure book, so you're looking at like 4 books. And every one of those books is like $40. So I'm looking at like $150, $160, something like that, just to get started in D&D. Where in Harn, you can get started for maybe about 120. So you're looking about, I'm going to say it's about the same, but you would get, it's just a different game system. I'm not going to say you get more because you don't get more. D&D's got quite a bit crammed into their books. But I find that Harn is just I think a better system. I I went to the Columbia website and you can download like their quick start rules for free. So I did. I read through them. And I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And so then I went out and started buying the product. And then I found out that they had a Kickstarter for their Harn World. So instead of buying the old Harn World, I'm waiting for the Kickstarter. And then if you become a subscriber to their little club, I think it's Harn Quest, you get 50% off all of their PDFs. So basically, you can get double the stuff. So I did. Now, once I get everything I need, I'm probably going to cancel my subscription. To be honest. And Harn is not about adventures, it's about the world. So they provide you with all the tools you need to run an adventure within the world, but they don't provide adventures per se. I mean, they've got like 10 adventures, but 10 adventures in 40 years? Whew, that's like none. And on the flip side, D&D puts out these adventures monthly that are campaigns. You know, they will take you from 1st to 15th or something. Long story arcs. So if you want something like that, you pretty much have to write it yourself. Or convert something from another game system. Okay, I think I got all the tires done. Now all I've got is bogey wheels. I'm not excited to do all these bogey wheels. I'm being honest. It's only because it's meticulous. So, I got a D&D game going every Wednesday night. And that game's going to go on for a while. But not much longer, right? There's only a few more challenges for the players. And once those are finished, I'm going to be starting a Harn campaign. I've already got like the initial adventure to get the players into the world. But then after that, I'm not sure how I want to proceed. I've got a couple of adventure ideas. Some seeds, if you would, to take them in different directions. But yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how I want to do that. But that's okay. I've got a couple of months to figure that out. We're going to start no later than June, but maybe earlier. Okay. So let me jump over here. Let me change my glasses so I can actually read my computer. I'm going to pull up a Panzer III. P a Z I pick. And I want it to be in color, but it doesn't have to be. We're going to go to images. Okay, there's somebody painted a Tamaya. Yep. Those are rubber as well. Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know if the upper bogey wheels are also rubber, and they are. All right, guys. Well, it's been 2.5 hours of me streaming and talking and ranting and spilling my guts and all that stuff. I am going to let you guys go. I've got some other work that I need to do. I noticed that nobody chatted with me. That's okay if you just want to listen to me rant while you do work at, because it's in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday. I decided to do it today instead of tomorrow because my D&D game. But I guess I could work on the D&D game tonight as well. I don't know. So, but basically, let me see. Closing thoughts. This is going to be fun to paint. I already know, except for the bogey wheels, but I'll get over that. About half of these are going on my channel, eBay store. If you are excited about or need something painted, I have a commission service. Contact me and I will quote you a price. If you just go to my store on eBay, it is ebay.com/str/wargaming and miniature. You can see all my figures on there. I've got a lot of painted figures. I've got some unpainted figures. And there's more going on every week. And I've got a sale right now that if you purchase $50 or more, you get 10% off. And yeah, I think that's everything. All right, guys. Well, I'll catch you in the next video. Stay tuned. Oh, be sure to like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit the notification icon, the little bell, because if you do that, when I go live like I did today, you'll be notified of me going live, and then you will get be able to get in and watch or listen and interact with me. All right, I'll catch you in the next one.